All right. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Kablia Tao with the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, here today with alumnus Mr. Clint Schaff. Clint is a 2000 CLA graduate and currently a vice president at the Los Angeles Times. His work focuses on the development and programming of various audio, video, and experiential projects. His projects include the immensely popular podcasts, Dirty John, Man in the Window, and Chasing Cosby, the scripted Bravo TV Dirty John television series, and the new Storytelling Festival. Clint previously led agency teams for Vision 7, Elderman and Golan, and he's worked with Procter & Gamble, Activision, Nintendo, Nestle, Palm Wonderful, Fiji Water, Wonderful Pistachio, VP Al Gore, and the New York Yankees.
Thanks, Kalia.
You're welcome. And first and foremost, Clint, thank you so much for joining me on this Zoom call. How are you currently holding up in San Francisco under the whole COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, well, I'm holding up as best we can. You know, it's been here in San Francisco, we were one of the large cities that were hit a little bit earlier and kind of instituted stay-at-home rules and things like that earlier than maybe a lot of America. So I've actually been home. Other than a couple of runs to the store, I've been home since March 9th. And actually had gotten sick at some point during that period. So feeling much better now, but we're doing well. We're doing our best to keep, my own household positive, but also trying to put positive vibes out there, whether it be, with our families, with our work and everything else. We live in a little town here just south of San Francisco called Pacifica, and are lucky enough to have really beautiful outdoor space, and we have a lovely dog named Mia, and so we're pretty happy and safe here, and just wishing the best for everyone else out there.
Very cool. Well, Clint, I can definitely relate with you guys too, just really hunkering down and just in regards to how scary the COVID-19 situation is too right now. And you actually posted something on your Twitter yesterday, which was about being positive in the face of current world events. And one of the things that I've been really trying to do is just really connecting with people that admire and that people that inspire me. And you, sir, are definitely one of those individuals for me. I know you're gonna look like you're shocked, but you are. And I'm so grateful that you were willing to jump on this call with me. I've been storing all these questions that I've been wanting to ask you. And so I'm glad that you're allowing me to record it and sharing it with other alumni as well too. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I missed talking with you as well, and all the Gophers out there.
So starting out, I just, wanted to ask you, as I mentioned earlier, you're a VP of Strategy and Development at the Los Angeles Times. Can you share a little bit more detail about your role and what your job entails?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I've been with the Los Angeles Times for about 4 years. You probably know us as a newspaper. We do a bunch of other things that are not a newspaper. In fact, obviously our LAtimes.com is the most read and consumed part of our offering, but I'm leading efforts kind of outside of those two buckets, including our work in podcasting, and then trying to have some of our stories create much needed revenue through television and film initiatives, and then as well as some support of live events. So in 2020, it's a tough day for newspapers, not because people aren't enjoying our news. In fact, more people are relying on credible journalism than ever before. However, the advertising business has changed a lot, and revenues are really bad for local journalism. So there's a lot of ways we're trying to combat that. Most notably, encouraging people to subscribe to their local newspaper. So if you're listening to this, I suggest that you find your local paper and subscribe to it, because we need it. But additionally, trying to create revenue streams through advertising and other mediums, including podcasting, television, and film. And so I work with, I'm on the business side of the organization, and I work with our counterparts in the newsroom to basically develop shows that might be of interest to people, that will be really solid, quality journalism, but also with a storytelling element that will keep audiences engaged, and again, provide the much needed funds so that we can fund all the anti-corruption and features on heroic people and other news that people need to know. Some of that stuff doesn't make a lot of money. Reporting on the city council doesn't really generate a lot of revenue, but it's really important that the city council be reported on so that their important decisions can get out to people, and so that, you know, we can, I guess, hold people accountable to the decisions they make. So, but anyway, we need to find, you know, all this stuff, all the new stuff that I've been working on has been helpful in terms of providing that revenue.
Wow. So
Yeah.
did you always know that you wanted to be a VP of strategy and development, or, and what was really your path to getting you there professionally?
Sure. I mean, clearly, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But you know, it's funny. I didn't always know that this is exactly what I wanted to do, but it actually all ties back to work I had done, you know, oh gosh, 20 years ago at the University of Minnesota. You know, when I was in high school, I grew up in North Dakota and was really involved with my high school newspaper and all that jazz. And my first 5 jobs were all in newspapers. I was a newspaper delivery boy. I was a press room assistant at the Mandan News. I was a sports clerk taking sports scores over the phone at the Bismarck Tribune. I started a magazine my freshman year at the U. And then I was vice president of the board of directors for the Minnesota Daily. So those were my first 5 jobs, were all in this kind of media. Then I changed course and did a bunch of other stuff in marketing, advertising, and politics and activism before that. But it was just a few years ago that I had the opportunity to come back home to journalism, and you know, all my career has really been about trying to create media and experiences that bring people together so they don't feel alone. That's like, you know, kind of a big statement there, but growing up in a small town, I sometimes felt a little bit alone. There weren't a lot of neighbors, literally in physical distance to our home, in a rural area, and that was really great in a lot of ways. But it was through, actually for me, it was through hip hop music that I learned about people who are different than me, and you know, I guess learned through people's stories. And I always wanted to figure out how to be a storyteller. I'm not much of a rapper, although I try from time to time. But I'm a pretty good media producer and creator. And so whether it be for corporations or now for a news organization, I really like just creating things that bring people together around a shared experience.
Well, it sounds like you're really passionate about the work that you've been doing, and you've gained all this like really great experience. So if you had to really share like your best professional advice for other alumni, what would it be?
Oof. It's hard to narrow it down to one, but you know, you know, well, I'm gonna give you 2 because I'm gonna cheat. But the first piece of that advice I have to anyone is to understand that it's really good to ask for advice, but to always understand that when someone gives you advice, they're giving it to you from their own experience. So people tend to give advice. If they had success doing something, they're gonna say to do that. And if they were hurt by something, they're gonna say to avoid that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should or shouldn't do those things, right? So all you're trying to do is get a collection from people, to round out your own experience, so you don't have to necessarily go through everything firsthand. That's what advice is about. But it doesn't necessarily mean to follow any one person blindly in what they suggest. So toward that end, my actual answer is to try to create networks around you to support you in making good decisions and to hit your goals. For me, you know, you have to call it anything, but for me, it's like basically having a personal board of directors, a group of people that I tap into. They're not necessarily my best friends, they're not necessarily my family. Those folks, I tend to love me no matter what, and that's sort of their job in my life, is to give me that unconditional love and accept me for who I am. But I intentionally try to put some people in my life who I empower to hold me accountable to be the person that I want to be, and that to be the best version of myself. And I think, you know, that's probably my best advice, because I think that career paths may change, right? Hopefully we'll all live a long time, and you're unlikely to live in only one career or even 5 careers in your lifetime. So if you can really hone in with the support of people around you on what you're really about, you can navigate through different career paths and different jobs and different decisions, with a little more security that maybe you're doing the right thing because you have some people to tap into.
Wow. That's fantastic professional advice as well too, Clint, and also personal advice as well. And that's definitely not the only advice I'm going to solicit from you today, because I know that you recently moved to San Francisco and you've been working remotely. And I was randomly reading an NPR article called "How to Be Alone but Not Lonely Despite the Coronavirus." And you were quoted in that article.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been working remotely and doing it successfully. So can you share any of your top 5 tips for working at home, especially for some of us who are now working from home for the first time?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to give you some tips. It was interesting that article came about. My first tip is to, especially in these times where where many of us are probably feeling some level of grief and or anxiety. Even if you're safe at home, which hopefully you are, you see changes in the world, and there's some really scary things happening. So one of my goals is to make sure I get out of bed early, make sure that I start my day with some positive energy and connecting with people, because we're in a world where it's a little harder to connect with people the way we're used to. So I'm doing morning coffees every morning at 8 and 8:30 a.m. local time. I chose those times to be respectful of my employer, so I'm not like messing around during the day. But I'm, basically my breakfast in the morning, I literally have eggs and hash browns right here. And I do 2 calls with people in the morning to get my day started. I had 2 this morning, just before speaking with you, Kalia, and it really sets me on a right path for the day. It's the equivalent of, running into a stranger at the local coffee shop and then that, first spurs an idea. But in this case, I'm actually kind of curating a group of people, and the people who have raised their hands to want to speak with me has been amazing. So anyway, I did that. I posted that, and a lot of people have gravitated toward it. I know a dozen or so people have started doing the same thing themselves, inspired by that. So I did it out of service. I feel like I've been working remotely for a year, and to be honest, for an extrovert like me, it was a little bit challenging in the beginning. And I found I realized that like maybe some of the trials and tribulations I went through in working remotely prepared me to help other people feel a little bit better. But the main recipient of is me, because I'm enjoying these great conversations. So the coffee chats are a great idea to refresh your personal and professional networks. Another one we're doing, I'll go down the list of 5 maybe. Another thing we're doing just with my family is we're doing Sunday night family Zoom chats. And I love that because in the gallery view, you can see everyone. We've had as many as 17 people on these calls, and then kind of like trying different structures or games, if you will, to make that a productive conversation. I think the first few times we got together were really just to talk about like, what's it like where you are and how are you responding to this, and information sharing. That said, I think, once we've taken care of our material needs and we have, enough toilet paper and food in the pantry and whatnot, we have to also start taking care of our mental health needs. And so we're flipping the format a little bit and actually like trying some new things where like maybe some general chat and then kind of like a Q&A, ask me anything, where one member of the family volunteers to be on the hot seat, and then we get to ask them questions about their life. And what I think is odd about it, or beautifully odd, is that when we all get together in person, we love each other, but we often don't do that. We don't ask how's it going really at school or whatever, because it's a weird question to ask in front of everyone. So I'm optimistic that we'll leave this isolation period actually closer than we would be if we had all gone on vacation together or something like that. So that's exciting. A few other working from home tips. I think both in terms of personal entertainment and taking care of yourself, but also for professional advancement, is to take advantage of all the fire hose of great content that people are putting out there right now. Because people are at home, there's a lot of really skilled, intelligent and empathetic and beautiful professionals who are out there sharing their art, sharing their webinars, sharing their classes. Several of the big companies that offer training or taking down the need to pay and to offer those classes for free. This is, if you can stomach it. By the way, don't put too much pressure on yourself for self-improvement right now, because you just need to take care of yourself. But if you have it in you and you're feeling a little antsy, it is a nice chance to level up a little bit, so that you can continue to feel growing confidence even in a time where things are a little funky. I guess I owe you two more tips. I'm going to improvise here. Another one I think is to, in your workplace, again, if you are someone who's like seek to serve and seek to create experiences for collaborative working. I think a lot of workplaces right now are doing some sort of like virtual happy hour, so that people can see their peers and kind of, exchange recipes, talk about Tiger King, whatever it is. Um, in addition to that, though, I think we can actually do that not just for fun. We can actually do it to do the work. There's a group I'm a part of called Akimbo. It's a marketer named Seth Godin, created this community, and through that I learned the idea of just basically having like co-working via Zoom. So literally, Kabliya, you and I and 6 other folks that we like could all sit in a room and work silently together. And if somebody has a question, and says, "Oh, I'm thinking on these things. Anyone have any ideas for that?" The same way you might look to someone at the cubicle next to you and ask them the same question, you can do that in a virtual environment. And I think mentally it might make you feel a little bit less alone as you try to trudge through the day, but also will probably keep us more productive because the same dynamics that exist in the workplace will be there in that Zoom room, right? Like, so if I decide to, say, "Hey, I'm stepping off for 20 minutes to go do a Peloton class," you might, maybe I should take a walk right now too, or whatever. And these things, we're all learning from each other the same way that the hive comes together in a workplace. And then I guess I owe you one more work from home tip. I think just maybe clearer and more frequent communication that we're used to. In a regular workplace, you have the luxury to, fire off a lot of back and forth, that kind of thing. The way things are right now, some people are managing a really important client at home called their children. So their time is a little less available. Everyone's dealing with different things. A lot of people are dealing with actual real fearful health issues, financial issues. So it's possible that people might not be locked to their screens every day from 9 to 5 with the exact same, the allotted break. People are working on flexible schedules. Some people are working later in the night. Some people, people are doing whatever they have to do to take care of themselves. So it may be more difficult to have sort of conversation live all the time. So I think the key is to quickly get better at asynchronous communication, meaning like communicate a list of things that you might need from your manager or that you need from someone who works for you or whatever up here, and then share that and then give them ample time to respond to those points. That would be better received than 10 one-off emails, all with unclear asks and a lot of need for contextual conversation. I think, so it's a time to kind of just really step up our clarity, so we can avoid confusion. Those are 5 tips.
Well, those are fantastic tips, Clint. I really look forward to kind of just instilling them in my own work life too. And just like, even like the Sunday with like the family on Zoom and all those little pieces are just so fantastic. And also, for my colleagues and I, we have been, doing a lot of Zoom meeting, but like you just said, it's mostly like the happy hours and those types of things. And I think being in a collaborative space where we could still be working independently, but just together, I definitely look forward to be able to instilling that with our team as well too. And
I can actually give you a little more structure to that idea if you'd like. There was, I can't remember one of those I did was kind of called like a productivity session or something like that. And it would literally be like, everyone get in a room. We're going to quickly talk about what we want to accomplish that day, and then we're just going to work. And then in 30 minutes or whatever arbitrary time, we're going to come back and everyone tell us how it went. And that accountability, it's like literally no one's going to get in trouble if they're like, "Well, I didn't really get a lot done during the half hour." But because you'll be really productive because like, "Oh, we're sprinting, we're jamming right now, all trying to come." And I want to come back because of my accountability to the group. I want to come back and report that I accomplished something during that time. And then we can all say, "Wow, we really accomplished something together." Because Kabliya reported back, I reported back, so-and-so and so-and-so reported back. And now that we felt like that was time well spent. So that, again, that's an example of that collaborative work environment.
wow, I absolutely love it. Yeah, because as an extrovert as well too, it has been hard to be at home, and because you get so much of your energy from the people around you as well too. It does get a little lonely, a little tough, and so I love the pieces that I can kind of like integrate and make it more fitting of my style as well too. So, and you know, this actually leads me to my last question, and probably the most important question that I have for you today. I know you're a huge music enthusiast.
I am.
If you had to recommend a song for folks to listen to right now, what would it be and why?
Oh gosh, that's an easy one given the day. Unfortunately, this morning, one of my favorite singers passed away. His name's Bill Withers,
Yeah.
and if you know Bill Withers, he's the one who wrote "Lean on Me," which is a really good song for these times. But I want to recommend another Bill Withers song called "Lovely Day." If you know that one, I think it's a good song every day, but a day to be alive is a lovely day. It might not feel like it when you're cooped up or dealing with stress, but it's a beautiful song. I recommend Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Oh, that's awesome. Clint, I'm definitely going to download that, and I will probably end up listening to it on repeat for like the next 2 hours. So
Oh,
thank
and
you
then
for
just
the
listen to
recommendation.
all Bill Withers. Get the whole Bill Withers catalog. He died. I think he died today. Tragic, sadly at age 81. He had a very full life, but Bill Withers is really important to me. That Lovely Day song was actually the song that played at my wedding when our families walked up the aisle, and then at the end of our ceremony, we did a group sing along karaoke style during the ceremony of Bill Withers' "Lean on Me." So a big loss for the music world, and so a good chance to celebrate his amazing catalog.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Clint.
Yeah.
And Clint, just as we wrap up here, I just, as a fellow alumni, not as the director of national engagement or anything, just as your fellow alumni, I've been meaning to tell you this, and it's just no other better time than to tell you this now. You have always been so incredibly generous with your time and your talent. And it brings such immense value to our community, our alumni community. And I'm just so thankful for you. And it is very inspiring how much you give to us as your fellow alumni. And so thank you. And thank you for joining and connecting with me on this call and sharing yourself with us.
That's very sweet. Well, and props to you and the whole Alumni Association crew for, pivoting in these interesting times and trying to keep people together. We'll all get through this. Oh, hopefully we'll all get through this together, and they'll be lighted, we'll be back watching football games and doing all that jazz that we love doing soon enough. But, let's enjoy what we have right now.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'll talk to
Yeah,
you
thanks.
soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Go Gophers.
Go Gophers.